Hi, Paul Cannon here. In this video, we're going to talk about how to use Zoom for video depositions and hearings. As I'm shooting this deposition, I'm sitting here at home during the stay-at-home order for the coronavirus outbreak that's happened. So if there's a better time to learn to use video depositions and video software for doing depositions and hearings, I don't know when it would be. This has been a great awakening for a lot of people to realize it's time to get into the modern times and learn to use video software for depositions, meetings, client conferences, and other reasons. So that's what we're going to talk about. First of all, let's talk about equipment you need. You have to have a computer with a webcam that is a microphone and a video camera available that each person who plans to attend the meeting can access. Now, depending on how the hearing is being conducted, if it's being conducted in a court and you're going to have a witness who's going to testify, the key is that the witness has the video and that you have at least one receiver in the courtroom to see the video on. It may be that multiple people in the courtroom, such as the judge and the attorneys, can share one camera because it's not necessarily important for the person on the witness to actually see each individuals who are talking during that particular meeting. But if you're doing a deposition, it's good to have a laptop or a computer that each individual has in front of them that they can use to do this. I've done some depositions before with other software where we had a court reporter who was present in the room with either the witness or present in the room with the attorneys, and a court reporter swore the person in and then took it down, and that's an option as well. But the easiest way is if everyone's got their own kind of camera and their own video and can see what's going on. All right, something else you need to know about Zoom is that if the meeting that you're going to have or the hearing is going to last longer than 40 minutes, then you have to have at least one person with an account. The person with the account would then be the host of the meeting or the person who instigates the meeting. But the free version of Zoom only goes up to 40 minutes. The last thing you want to do is be in the middle of a deposition or in the middle of a hearing and suddenly it all shuts off because somebody didn't have an extended account. As long as one party has that account, they can then invite other people to their meeting, and that's all that's required. The other people don't have to have a paid account. Paid account will run you anywhere from about $15 to $25 a month, depending on what type of account you get. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Zoom and dive right in and kind of take a look at what it is. I'm going to transfer the screen over here to Zoom. This is what the application itself looks like when you are the person who's going to host the meeting in Zoom. You have an option. You can either create a new meeting directly just by creating it and individually asking people to come, or you can schedule a meeting, which is what most people are going to want to do if it's a deposition or something. Scheduling can also be handy if you're doing it in a courtroom because you're basically then send out a link. You can schedule it for immediate time and have the people just click in as soon as they're ready. So when you go to schedule a meeting, here's what happens. First, give a topic. It's going to be my Zoom meeting. It's Paul Cannon's Zoom meeting. It'll have a start date that you can change to whatever time you want over here. So if I want to do it right now, I might come back and say it's 2:45. I'm going to set this to 2:45. So we're doing it right now. The duration here, you'll notice, is set at 30 minutes. If you click down, you can pick from 0, 15, 30, or 45 minutes. If you pick 45, you're going to see this notice. Your plan has a basic 40-minute limit with 3 or more meetings with 3 or more participants. Therefore, you have to upgrade if you want more than that. Okay, so we'll set it back right now for 30 minutes. Then you get to pick, do you want to generate a meeting automatically or do you want to use a personal meeting ID? Mine's pre-selected on personal meeting. It'll have a password there as well. This is a randomly generated password. I don't pick a password particularly, but you can randomly generate a password or you can tell it not to require a password. I would say if you are hosting a meeting, you should use a password. There are instances of people going out there and breaking into other people's meetings and messing stuff up and just, being disruptive. Unfortunately, there's people like that on the internet. So I would suggest if you're doing something official, require a meeting password. That way nobody can do that. Secondly, if you want to, you can pick, you want the host video on, you want the participants video on, and then you can select, you want to select people can join by both telephone and computer audio in the event that somebody wants to be able to hear but doesn't have video capabilities working, or sometimes you get too much feedback on a computer. You can always call in by phone as well. So then when they come along, then you come down here, you have advanced options where you can enable a waiting room. I would recommend you do have a waiting room, particularly if you're doing some kind of a hearing. Waiting room simply means that when people initially log on, if you have not started the meeting yet, they sit outside the waiting room instead of being in talking to people, communicating with others, whatever. You can't, where nobody can see what's going on because you're not there yet. If you enable join before host, that means they can get into the meeting before you get there. All right, so you pick your time, you do all this, and you hit schedule. When you do that, it takes a moment. When you do that, you now have a set scheduled meeting. See, it's set for now. I can hit start. I can do a lot of different things. So, but it gives you the option generally to go ahead and send an email. Give me a click. So you click on that, and here's the actual video itself. It's not able to start my video because of the fact that I'm using video for recording right now, but normally you would have a video picture on here. You would then be able to send an initial meeting that you're setting up that's not happening right now. You're going to get an email notice, and you can send emails to people that say, here's the time, here's the place, and it'll ask you to push in information, invite participants. Here, I get a button that says invite participants. I can pick from any of the people on my list, or I can say email, choose your default email, and I can type it directly in. You see down there it said copy invitation. I can even block and copy the invitation and send it to someone. But here you see, excuse me, the email pops up. Here you see how the Zoom meeting, there's the link, there's the meeting ID. If you have included a password, the password will automatically be in there as well, and that will enable you to then use that to run your meeting from. All right, once you've got this set up, all the participants are going to appear in this meeting. You have the ability to press the record button right here and record it. Only the host can actually record the meeting. So the host can press record the entire meeting, and there you have a video recording of the entire deposition or meeting, hearing, or whatever it is. But again, the host is the only one who can press record. Everyone else can request to record it, but it will ask the host for permission before it allows that. If you need to share documents, there's a screen share feature as well, where you can click on this, it'll bring it up and say, which document do you want to share? And you can have a whiteboard feature, which means you can draw notes, or you can go to a specific document. After your Zoom meeting is concluded, if you chose to videotape it, it will automatically download a MPEG type file of the video onto your hard drive into a Zoom directory that it will create if you don't already have one. That can then be shared with the other attorneys or used for whatever purposes you need as far as reviewing the video goes. Something else I wanted to share with you is that Zoom is one of many choices out there as far as sharing videos goes, but Zoom seems to be the most popular one that I've seen used right now, and the most requests I get when people want to have any kind of conferences or meetings seem to come through the Zoom feature. So I have used it quite a bit for other meetings and conferences and just talking to clients, things like that as well. In fact, our firm is now offering it as a way to communicate with clients, both with our case managers and with our attorneys, because it is an easy way to be able to communicate with your clients, meet new clients, meet prospective clients, without having to have a face-to-face meeting, without them having to drive to an office location, and under the circumstances, without anyone having to risk getting the coronavirus while we're under this stay-at-home order, which hopefully will be lifted by the end of this month. So the other thing to think about, though, is there are other options out there. I actually have used Skype in the past, but it's been a good at least 5-6 years. I use Skype in order to conduct I've used it for two different reasons. I've used it to do depositions, and I've used it for minor settlement hearing. It's important to note that at least the Skype version I had did not have the ability to videotape or record the conference, and as a result, in order for us to have a video deposition, we had to have a videographer aim their video recorder directly at the computer screen and just video the computer screen of the witness testifying in order to create a video. Zoom is much easier than that. I don't know if Skype's fixed that yet or not, or if they're still more of a just a calling versus recording type device. Another feature I've had, or use I've had in the past with Skype, is I used it to conduct a minor settlement hearing. I actually had a minor settlement hearing where I had a client that my clients had, after having an accident while living here in the States, they were missionaries and they had moved to, I believe it was Panama somewhere, and were doing missionary work over there. So in order for us to conduct a minor settlement hearing that was going to take place in Austin, Texas, we had them appear by Skype, and I brought a laptop in, and the judge and myself and the defense lawyer all just asked our questions via, with the other person being there on Skype as if they were a witness there the entire time. We did not need to videotape that because it was a proceeding in front of the court, and everything went very smoothly. In fact, I'm going to place a link in the description of this video to an article that I wrote about that whole proceeding and how it went. And if you have interest in reading more about how that works or how it went for me, you can go there and read that article. Some additional tips for your Zoom deposition or hearing, particularly things that I think are important as far as the depositions go, is you might want to kind of talk with everyone and get some agreements for you going. Number one, you want to have it agreed on the record that everyone has agreed to use Zoom as the deposition, and everyone understands it's being video recorded. You may also want to have an agreement with other parties that say that anyone who wants to can video record, because the way Zoom is set up, the host can do the video recording, but everyone else has to ask your permission. If you want to save the trouble of having to send out that video to everyone, you can just give everyone permission. Another thing to consider is kind of making sure everyone knows how to use Zoom. When you're not talking, you can actually press the mute button, and that helps your background noises and things like that from getting picked up and interfering with the sound or the ability of the court reporter to hear what's going on. Also be aware that when someone is talking on Zoom, the cameras will tend to move around and face them if you don't have it on the multi-camera view, if you're trying to show the big camera of the testifying witness. Then any other noises could cause that camera to switch over to someone else, and so it can be very beneficial a lot of times if you teach everyone kind of to be on mute when they're not going to. Along the same lines, you may want to have an agreement to reserve all objections until after the deposition, so that you're not having to constantly jump in, interject, and interrupt each other. The interruptions can be disrupting. There's also can be sometimes a lag in any type of video conferencing that you use, and as a result of that, it never hurts to speak slow, encourage each other to talk one at a time. Be careful, be sure you go over those basic deposition rules of not talking over each other and making sure you give everyone a chance to finish their sentence before you jump in. Otherwise, you're going to get a very choppy type recording going on. It takes a little practice, it takes a little learning, it's a little bit different, but it's a very effective tool for conducting depositions without having to be face-to-face. Once you've decided you're going to do Zoom and you've gotten ready and everyone's agreed to that, then the next thing you need to remember is, how do you do a notice? I'm going to post a link for you in the comments section to a form deposition notice that I have posted in my blog. You can see kind of what the blog article here looks like. It's a Sims and Fletcher blog, but I posted a Zoom deposition notice with a Texas form, and it kind of lays out content that you need to make sure. You're going to want to make sure, obviously, you put the Zoom link in that deposition notice, and of course do your normal standard disclosures. But other than that, it's pretty much the same as any other form. You're just making it clear it's going to be by Zoom, and then you also want to make sure that you identify the location, who's the witness that's going to appear, date, time, place, all that good stuff. Where's the witness going to be, and where's the court reporter going to be? Because the court reporter may or not be in the same place as the witness. There's a good note down here at the bottom. It says make sure you use a password so you don't get unintended visitors into your deposition. And then again, you'd be wise to put on record that everybody is aware this is being recorded and it's a video deposition conducted by Zoom. I hope that this information has been informative to you and that it can be very helpful in helping you set up to do video depositions by Zoom. If you have any questions about the process or how it works or anything else, feel free to email me at pcannon@simmonsandfletcher.com, and I will look forward to hearing how this goes for everyone.